The Apple TV hit show Ted Lasso making some news over the last few days for a couple reasons. First and foremost, and the one that is going to drive the popularity of this show, is season 3 is set to debut on March the 15th, just days away. And I remember when season 2 debuted, which by the way was some time ago, July of 2021, so Ted Lasso fans have had to wait a long time for season 3. And in between that, it won all awards again. 11 Emmys. You got the Golden Globe for Jason Sudeikis. Screen Actors Guild, yada, yada, yada. I mean, just incredible what this show has been able to accomplish. Especially from where it started. This is Apple TV's baby. This is a show that if you go to the Apple TV platform, it is driving the subscribers on that more than any other show. No, more than any other sport, more than anything. So this is, again, a phenomenon of a show. And as we get closer to March the 15th, you will see it. It's not just soccer fans. It is random people who don't know soccer have fallen in love with this show. And the people who hand out awards. 11 Emmys. It's unbelievable. I mean, they swept it the last 2 years for the comedy shows. And imagine season 3 will do it the same. But they're also making news this show these past few days because some interesting quotes from Jim Curtin, who is arguably the #1 coaching prospect from the United States. Currently with the Philadelphia Union, he has done an incredible job with that club, getting him this close to winning MLS Cup, being part of a club with Philadelphia that has developed so many fantastic players like Mark McKenzie and the Aronson brothers and several more that are there. This is what he has overseen is truly remarkable. But he had some interesting quotes about it. And we're going to see if he has a claim and what is the plight right now of Americans in the sport, particularly in the United Kingdom, where they're trying to be taken seriously. We've seen Jesse Marsch, who is now out of work, out of his position at Leeds. And all this is important for us Americans, right? Because with success over there, we certainly have a chance to be taken, move up the pecking order in the world football, where clubs like Leeds will feel comfortable in hiring American coaches, where clubs will feel comfortable bringing in American players in large numbers. But we're going to break that all down because this is a really interesting topic. I know a couple of weeks ago we talked about the phenomenon of Wrexham. Jim Curtin was also asked about that, and it all goes into play there. So today on the Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. I have my MLS Roundtable talking about MLS Season Pass, as well as how we expect MLS to succeed on Apple TV. And coming up, I'll have Kevin Hatchard. I don't know if many of you know Kevin, his work with the Bundesliga. He is an all-encompassing voice for the game. And we'll talk about German football. We'll talk about Gio Reyna. We will talk about Liverpool 7-0 over Manchester United. So check out their podcast. Like and subscribe us right here. Appreciate all those who have joined the Soccer OG Nation. So let's get into it. Let's start with Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso originally was a promotional piece for NBC Sports, a fictional character, Ted Lasso, way over the top, played by Jason Sudeikis, came in, didn't know anything about it, and they were funny commercials, right? He was like fish out of water, talking about all the stereotypes, etc., about the English game and from an American perspective, a coach from the Midwest wondering what all this crazy soccer footballing world is all about. And then one day we hear that they're going to make a show out of it. And I know a lot of people rolled their eyes, including myself. I go, they're going to make a show out of this? Brendan Hunt, who plays Coach Beard, big part of that. He has been in the U.S. soccer circles for some time. He is a bona fide soccer fan. I know he's at the LAFC games. By the way, I got my LAFC championship ring. Read 'em and weep, baby. Look at that. Very excited. He's also, people like him, like me, and we talked about it with the Wrexham show. You are drawn into this sport initially by covering the English game. And if you've never seen it before, you are mesmerized by how how everything unfurls. The clubs, the rivalries, the relegation, the promotion, everything is just mind-blowing, especially if you come from a blank slate and didn't really know what was going on with these sports for the longest time. So it's very exciting once you discover it. And we saw it with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney when they started doing the Wrexham show. So Ted Lasso gets on the show, and I remember Hercules Gomez said, "Man, you better watch the show." He goes, "You probably think it's a big gag. It's pretty good." So I watched it, and they did a really good job with this show. You can see why it's going to be so popular, and now it's on to season 3, and now it's winning all these awards. I was completely surprised. I did not think it would be as well crafted as it was. Now, is it good for the game of soccer? 100%. Is it getting new fans? Yes. I remember turning on CNN, and Jake Tapper, their top newsman, had a mug of Ted Lasso on the desk while reporting the news. People that have never been involved with the sport are crazy for Ted Lasso. So yes, it is drawing fans, and that's a good thing. We should not shun anyone who has not been exposed to this sport in the United States. Every single fan coming in who is now consuming the sport is good. I will also add, and now that I work for Apple TV with MLS Season Pass with Major League Soccer, when you go to Apple TV, when you look at the streaming services, you have Disney, you have Netflix, Paramount, Hulu, that are all in very good footing. Apple TV is still very new and getting there. The driving force for subscribers on Apple TV is Ted Lasso. If you look at the rankings, go to Apple TV, as I do, and you look at their top streamed shows, the number one right now is Shrinking with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, and it's a brand new show. The number 2 streamed show is Ted Lasso, ahead of all the other shows of which Apple TV have done many, Apple TV Plus. Still number 2, and remember season 2 came out July of 2021. So people are going in droves to download or to stream Ted Lasso on Apple TV. Without Ted Lasso, Apple TV is in some peril. So, with Major League Soccer and MLS Season Pass, to have that kind of synergy where you can go to Ted Lasso and flick over to an MLS game. You would hope that is what's going to happen. It builds a strong foundation for the sport on Apple TV. When we announced Apple TV with MLS Season Pass, we went up to Cupertino on the Apple campus. Brendan Hunt was there, and he is a big part in, singing from the hilltops about how great MLS is. So it's good for a variety of reasons. I will also say, and I enjoy Ted Lasso. I've watched all the episodes. I'm not goo-goo over it. At times, I don't think it really is a soccer show. It's about personalities. I love when Jason Sudeikis is there because we can put ourselves in his body as an American in that capacity. But it's an English show, right? It's an English drama with these English relationships. The soccer scenes, yeah. But that's how sports shows are. But they're a little tongue-in-cheek with the soccer scenes as well. They kind of rush through them, as they should. Nothing worse than a TV show about sports where they're showing actors portraying the athletes for long stretches, and you're like, wait a minute, if I want to watch sports, I'll go turn on ESPN. But the relationships are very good. I loved, my favorite part was the relationship between Rebecca and Sam. Remember, that was very naughty. The chairman of the club having a intimate relationship, romantic relationship with one of the players. That was good storytelling. But it's not so much about soccer, but it's created the base around it from the show, which is very effective. And by the way, Ted Lasso is such an easy show to digest, right? Sometimes you have to think so much and you're like, what is going on with this show? And it's like, all right, I want something easy to consume. There's not many shows like that out there. So Ted Lasso is good in that sense. There's a lot of accuracies. The Trent Krim character, the media, where he rides Ted Lasso and then kind of is endeared into him. And that's really where the problem is with the American perception. That portrayal is the problem. So let's get into what Jim Curtin said. He was doing an interview with The Athletic, says he enjoys the show, and he goes, I love the humanness of it, appreciate capturing the locker room character depictions. Those locker room scenes are very good, and that's where the Believe, the signage all really came into view. And then he says, do I think it set back American coaches 20 years? I love how he locked into that timetable, 20 years. He said, yes, we worked so hard to get to Europe. Then Jesse Marsh, kind of breaks in. What a curse to have that show break out at the same time Jesse Marsh made it. I think that rings true, right? Jesse Marsh is trying to do it, make some inroads, and the show becomes popular. And we saw it when Jesse Marsh was doing press conferences. Somebody in the media, a Trent Krim type, would go, hey, did you get the comparisons with Ted Lasso? And everyone rolls their eyes. And Jesse Marsh is going, do I really have to deal with this? And he has to deal with it. And it stinks that he has to deal with it. So that's unfortunately a problem the show came up. Go back a few years when Bob Bradley got the Swansea job, and then some guy made this YouTube show making fun of Bob Bobley, about an American coach trying to coach English players. It was very unflattering. I hated it, but I wasn't surprised by it. I would say this to Jim, that whether there was Ted Lasso or not, the perception from the media towards Americans like that is going to be there, and it's going to continue to be there. It's just something we have to deal with. And if it's Jesse Marsh or Jim Curtin or whoever else comes through, they're going to have to deal with it. Unfortunately, with Ted Lasso, it's an easy way to convey that through a character and comparison. So, did that affect Jesse Marsh at all? Getting fired at Leeds? I stand by the fact Jesse Marsh should have had more time at Leeds. And I think it's ringing true even more looking at what's happening with Leeds. They went down again. And back into those relegation positions. But he got the job, and he got the January window. And then afterwards, from all reports, he got the Southampton job. And the only reason he didn't take it is the duration of the contract that was being offered. So immediately going from that to the Southampton gig tells me that Jesse Marsh will be a candidate for other English clubs. And this was a Premier League team. I don't know if he's going to get a Premier League gig, but maybe in the Championship, maybe in the Bundesliga. Jesse Marsh is still a very attractive candidate for some clubs. Maybe not as high as Leeds. And the reason I say that is because Southampton immediately came calling. He fits the profile of a coach that clubs want, plays a certain style. So he didn't get fired because of Ted Lasso. It's an incredible moment for coaches. And again, it's just the irony and the coincidence that this show came up is very strange. But the comparisons exist with the media. It doesn't exist with the clubs. Southampton or Leeds or, say, West Brom or Norwich aren't going, oh, I do Ted Lasso. They're not doing that. They're looking at Jesse Marsh as a coaching candidate. I can assure you of that. The media, we got to deal with it. But we've known we have to deal with it. I've been dealing it with a very long time, and we move forward. Jim would also say, I have to say I do like it because if I say I hate it, I come off as some elitist coach. And when he said that, it told me he's been thinking about this, and there's something there that's grinding him. When Ted Lasso, the phenomenon was rolling out, it kind of grinded me a bit. But then I watched the show, and I said, okay, I'm glad this show was around. Jason Sudeikis and Brendan Hunt and everyone involved are talented actors. Brett Goldstein, who's, I think, producing that show, Shrinking. These are talented, appealing personalities. But we can fault the creators of Ted Lasso because it is a stereotype. And it plays into all the stereotypes of Americans, from the promotional character that we saw on NBC Sports and to the one that we see on the TV show now. And that's not their fault. They're trying to make a hit TV show. And guess what? It's working. So you should be irked, but you got to deal with it. You've got to deal with it. And that's what's going to happen here in the future. You know, Jim Curtin was also asked about Wrexham, and both shows on paper, I will say, when someone's pitching Ted Lasso or someone's pitching Welcome to Wrexham, you're like, that's not going to work. But the execution on both these shows has been outstanding. The Ted Lasso production, casting was perfect. Welcome to Wrexham. We didn't know what we were going to get, but then you see the portrayal of these two North American managers and the city of Wrexham. It just works. They were well produced. They were well financed. These are shows. Ted Lasso can come back for season 4. I don't know if they're going to do that. Welcome to Wrexham has a endless timetable because they can keep following this club and people will watch, and that will continue to grow. You're seeing the phenomenon of Welcome to Wrexham the same way with Ted Lasso. And this is soccer, and this is great news for all parties. But this is, these shows are successful because of what they've done. It just so happens that the American coach is in the middle. Is Jim Curtin wrong? No. Does Jim Curtin have to, should Jim Curtin bring this up? Probably not, and he's going to have to deal with it. Now, Jim Curtin has made it abundantly clear he wants to get the U.S. men's national team job. I think he could be a candidate for a European club, and that's something I'm sure he would like to pursue. We'll see what happens with the U.S. job, but maybe Jim Curtin's name is called up there, and he is campaigning. I got to say, he has been putting himself out there with these interviews. Remember what he said about the national team. He said he would do it for free. He would be as an assistant coach. It's a huge job. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And journalists around here can, because coaches are usually, that's fine. But Jim Curtin has been a breath of fresh air by coming out and having these. I imagine he is going to stop doing it because we're doing videos about it here, and that's the last thing he wants. He wants to focus on his show, on his job. But there it is. It's art imitating life. Enjoy Ted Lasso. Enjoy MLS Season Pass. Enjoy Welcome to Wrexham. And if you're new to the game, use that to help your sophistication of all the sports. The Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Like and subscribe us here. We'll be back. There is never a shortage of topics that we can follow, and we'll be here for you.